Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Helsinki University Startup Stage here at Slush 2019. My name is Anu Partanen, and we are also streaming this conversation to Tiedekulma Think Corner, the Helsinki University space downtown. So welcome also to everyone at Tiedekulma. I have now here with me member of the Finnish Parliament, Juhana Vartiainen. You are also an economist and researcher from your background and used to be the Director General for the Institute for Economic Research here in Finland and have a long career also in Sweden and in other countries. And we have Vincenzo Cerullo, who is a professor at the University of Helsinki, professor in biological drugs and head of drug research program, as well as the scientific founder of Valo Therapeutics. Maybe I'll first start by simply asking Vince, what is Valo Therapeutics, so then we know of that.
Well, Valo Therapeutics is a spin-off company from University of Helsinki that is actually taking our technology for cancer vaccine to cancer patient. So we work on trying to stimulate the immune response of patients' immune response and get our immune system to fight the cancer.
So the most essential battle in many ways in healthcare for us, curing cancer.
Absolutely.
Our topic today here with the guests is how can decision makers, politicians and universities help innovation grow out of universities? Juhana, what do you think? How can politicians better promote innovation coming out of science and universities?
Well, I would think of three things. The first one would be just let us get the funding of research and higher education in order. I mean, this is in this country, the public sector by and large is starved of resources because of aging, and we haven't been able to increase the employment rate and really put the public sector on a solid footing. So there's problems everywhere in the schooling system, in higher education, in you name it, social works, etc. So we should have a generally good economic policy. My other thing would be create more autonomy for the universities. I have understood that the universities feel burdened by a very detailed instructions and steering that comes from the Ministry of Education. And this does not leave enough room for creativity in this direction. And then the third thing would be, well, listen to people like Vincenzo and ask them how people like you, how you perceive this issue, what would be the good things that we as lawmakers could do to incite you and enable you to do more innovative research that can also be commercialized and be put to productive and creative use.
What is savings?
Yeah, you have touched three very important things. Of course, one is funding, which is important. You also said a magic word for me, which is creativity. I think as scientists, especially scientists at university, we should really boost our creativity. We were made to be creative. We should be on the edge of really of research, and we should take full advantage of it. And sometimes I totally agree with you. Sometimes we have ended up, we have closed our scientists into boxes where they need to tick numbers and make publication and things like that. And this system has somehow killed our creativity on one side. The third thing that I would also add to what you just said is eventually start what I say, this reconciliation between society and scientists. Sometimes, I think myself, as scientists, really, how do the society perceive us? Do the society thinks we're wasting our time and their money, or do society thinks that innovation will bring us, to the next level? And I think if politicians start to pitch how innovation is fundamental to create, a better country or a better society or better, then I think we are up and running, because I think we are fantastic ideas ready to go, but eventually we don't have the moral support in addition to financial support. So I think you have touched very key point for me.
Yes, well, when I look at this from the political debate, then I'm more concerned about the risk of politicians being too keen on utilitarian and commercial research, and politicians by and large they tend not to appreciate the truth that it is still basic research that can in a sort of unexpected ways then contribute really great ideas. But on top of that, we still have to create the kind of incentive system, even at the university, which makes it attractive for a person, for you, also to be part of the startup scene and not only spend your entire career with big basic research ideas. This is, I don't have a blueprint for that, but somehow we should create the incentives for universities to think sort of very seriously about those issues too, and then to be able to create matches between venture capital and the guys who create new things like yourself.
Vince, what has been your experience like? How did the University of Helsinki help you when you had this idea, this research that you were working on, and turn it into a company?
I mean, to me, it's been a fantastic experience. So I really don't have really anything to say. I was in the right place at the right time. I own everything to University of Helsinki. I just had an idea, and I thought it was a cool idea, and I was going, look for what scientists do. They want to do something. They look for money to do things, and then I stumbled into, Helsinki University Innovation Service. I didn't even know it existed back then, and they actually contacted me in a couple of days and said, well, this is a very great idea. Well, we'll support that. It was just fantastic news. Since then, they've been always, we have been working together to really look for investors. We pitched here Science a couple of years ago. I mean, they've always been really there. All the investors in Valo have been found somehow through the university. So for me, it's been a really fantastic journey. I've learned a lot, and I couldn't have done anything without the support of University of Helsinki. Are we perfect? Not yet. Probably something else could be still done, but my experience has been extremely positive in that sense.
Well, if this is very nice. This is very nice to hear, but does this really imply that in fact the system and the framework and the incentives are already perfect?
No.
Do we live in a perfect world already, or do you think that we as legislators, who ultimately also sort of can influence how the university works, can we do something to improve anything, Vincenzo?
Yes. So first of all, from our point of view, I think one thing that we can really work together is start changing the mindset of our younger generation. I mean, I ask myself, do I teach enough how to be creative? Do I teach enough how to be an entrepreneur? Do I teach enough that if you discover something cool in your lab, that things can become something, amazing for other people? So from the pedagogical point of view, I think we should really start focusing also at university level from young students to start teaching how important it is because it's just something in your head. It's a change of mindset. When I started being scientist, we were extremely snobbish against the commercial world. It was the good people, us, and the bad people. Now it's completely changed. I mean, do we spend enough time with event like this, for instance, teaching our students that this is a fantastic opportunity to learn more and to make better science?
So what you say seems to suggest that in fact we should not really think in terms of a contradiction between basic science and creativity and commercial uses and utilitarian things, and once you really realize that, then you can do something extremely positive.
Absolutely. I teach to my students that without the relativity theory of Einstein, we wouldn't have our mobile phone nowadays. And I think Einstein 100 years ago was not thinking about these things. So how fundamental science really impact the world is a fantastic, fantastic things. But on the other hand, this doesn't happen if every partners, including politician and society and university and professor and university and students and everybody together, they don't have a common project. I mean, if we start going all over the place, we won't really go anywhere. So in a way, in a way, we should really go together with a common strategy, and that will be extremely impactful.
And you mentioned, Vincent, that you think that we can think that being also an entrepreneur can make you do better science.
Absolutely.
How do you think so? How do you think that works?
I can think of a million reasons, but first of all, it gives you the responsibility. You know you're doing something not because you need a publication and you need your PhD, but you're doing something because you really want to. You really want to make the difference. You can ask my students. I don't give projects to anybody. People that comes in my lab, but they are left without project for all the time they want, because I want them to come up with their own project, which is their own passion, is their own dream, and I want them to follow that dream, because I know that's the only way they can really, do everything in order to make that happen. I think this is important. Why? Because you feel the responsibility. I want to do something meaningful, and I think that will help you making a better science.
But that sounds wonderful, really. But is it the case already, Vincenzo, that let's say some of your students or you come up with some great innovative idea and you start to understand that this could improve the lives of 500 million people in Africa or something, but I would need a private venture capitalist or some other sort of corporate or commercial initiative in this too. Does the University of Helsinki framework work in such a way that this will be available to you? If you go to somebody and ask, how could I commercialize, how could I implement this idea, will you get help?
Absolutely, yes. To be honest, for the moment, we get a lot of theoretical help. Of course, also some funds are available. The university has a lot of instruments to really do the starting of your idea. Of course, what is really lacking at the moment, but it's not at university level, it's rather at country level, what is really lacking is big funds that will invest in life science. I mean, funds of hundreds, 200, 500, 1 billion or half a billion that can really fill the gap between an early stage spin-off company from something that is really making the difference.
So this is important. What you say is that, well, then you would need perhaps a risk taker investor with deep pockets, and this is bound to be always to be a problem in a small country, but still what you say is fairly encouraging and seems to suggest that all good scientists should come to the University of Helsinki from everywhere and try their luck there.
It sounds silly, but unfortunately that's my experience,
Yeah,
so I cannot say otherwise.
It's great. It's very nice to hear. Normally people only complain to politicians like me.
I don't have any complaint. I'm so sorry about that.
We very much appreciate this positive point of view. Thank you for both of you very much for coming here for our discussions at the Helsinki University stage at Slush 2019. Thank you, Vince and Juhana.
Thanks, Anu.
Thanks.